Hey guys, welcome in. Thanks for joining us for episode 7 of Whiskey Flix. Today my brothers and I will be discussing Interstellar while sipping on some Basil Hayden. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Cheers.
I wish I could do that at work. I wish someone would start talking to me. I'd be like, "Nice to see you." Just go walk away. We don't have to do this. We don't need to have this conversation. How was your weekend? Good. Mine was fine. Nice to see you.
Do we assume he had 2 cases of plutonium, or did he go back and pick that one up and bring it to the?
Great question. I assume
those wacky wabbits.
Yeah. Shittiest walk home ever? That's got to be one of them.
Yeah.
You just got your ass kicked, embarrassed, and school starts tomorrow in a place you've never been before.
Glasses in hand. Taylor, to you for some Basil Hayden.
So Basil Hayden bourbon, right up front on the nose, a lot of fruity spice with a touch of smoke for me. Then to the palate, I do get some sweeter cinnamon notes. And it kind of mellows out with a soft round finish with a touch of spice. Big fan of this bourbon. This one is a real easy sipper. Love it straight. Yeah, I think it hits a lot of the marks for me.
I can agree with that. For me, when I tasted it today before we got started, and the initial sip, I was just like, oh no, because this is super smooth. Mm-hmm. Really easy to drink.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
And I just felt like this is going to get away from me really quick in this episode for sure. I haven't had Basil Hayden in a while, actually, and I'm wondering why, because it is really, really good. Definite sipper. For me, a good food whiskey bourbon. Has a lot of that dark fruit going on, the plums. Taylor, like you were speaking about, the cinnamon and a lot of that spice note going on to it. So I just, this is perfect for me. I could do this almost every day. This is a pretty high rye bill, 27%. I looked this up. So we have 63% corn, 27% rye, 10% malted barley. And the rye definitely comes through.
I was going to say that spice makes sense when you mention the percentages.
Definitely. So for me, amazingly good. I am a big fan of Basil Hayden. P, what do you think?
Agree with both of you. I really like it. I tasted and smelled all the things you guys said. I didn't at all. Not even close. No, I mean, I get the spice. I get that. That's fun. Everything else, all that stuff, no. The smell is nice. It's not overpowering to me. And I like it. It lets you know, like, okay, here's a whiskey, like, you know, it does what it's supposed to do on the nose, but it's not overpowering. And for me, big thing with anything like this is just smoothness, and this is really good. I mean, it's
super smooth.
It really is. It's super.
Yeah, to comment on that. Yeah, for my first tasting of it, because this is the first time I've actually had Basil Hayden's ever. Yeah, I thought the same thing as you, Mike. I couldn't believe how incredibly easy it was to drink. But still, with a nice kind of medium, almost full body. It's definitely not light.
Right.
Not near as light as light as the Suntory Toki. And I think same as the Woodford Reserve, which we saw on their site. They said it was a full, chewy whiskey, which I never got from it. I always thought it was a little thin, a little light for what I was hoping for. The Basil Hayden's has a really nice body to it, and it really mellows out and finishes nice and smooth, and it's pretty darn tasty.
Agree. That was a really good comparison. I was thinking the same thing. I wanted to bring that up. The Suntory didn't have a big burn. Like, you could drink that whole bottle very simply. Oh, yeah. But this, when you taste this initially, Taylor, like you said, more to your point, it gives you so much before it finishes smooth.
Right. That
you would expect when you taste it, you're like, this may burn a little bit. And then that first sip, you're like, oh, wow. And that's why I was like, The first time I tried it, I was like, trouble. This is definitely trouble.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah.
And I do like, it's not like over the top in terms of the chewiness or like the thick, like, I don't know how you describe it, whatever. It's not like, whoa, like completely coating your palate and like
No.
over the place, but it's enough that like it lingers longer, like after you take a sip, I guess.
Yeah.
And you can kind of like feel the goodness of the whiskey for like a while, like in your mouth, in the throat. Like I'd take a sip. It's nice. It's
Absolutely. That's the perfect description of body and finish.
Because I find this interesting because whiskey and food is something that I don't know a ton about. Whiskey pairings with food. Not to put you on the spot, but what would you pair with this, with Basil Hayden's?
Not to put you on the spot, but
simple. Always simple is going to be grilled meats.
Right.
That's super easy. This is always going to bring out any caramelization in a grilled meat. You're going to get twofold when you drink a whiskey or a bourbon. That's easy. But for me, because of all the things we've talked about, think about cinnamon, plums. You think about charred oak barrels, which automatically give off vanilla. Where are we going? Dessert.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was going to say, once you sort of rattled those off, I was thinking like apple pie.
Exactly right. And yeah, that makes total sense. The crust, the caramelization on the crust with the sugar, the apples, the cinnamon, all that stuff, the butter, all of that comes out. Butter and whiskey, I mean,
that makes sense.
No brainer.
So if I just start eating sticks of butter with whiskey, is that too far?
It's a genius plan.
Now that'd be great for the podcast.
That'd be really great
Is
for
he
the
just
podcast.
eating sticks of butter?
It's unsalted butter. It's unsalted butter.
PJ, how do you feel about the bottle?
Yes, of course. So, thank you. I keep forgetting. It's my favorite thing. So I got the little guy.
Okay.
Oh, sweet! You got a pint of it. That's cool.
That's cute.
Isn't that awesome?
That is pretty cool.
Bottle. I love the shape of the bottle. Is cool. Bottles like that just scream whiskey, like.
Right.
Sometimes, I mean, it doesn't have to look like that, but it just feels like it's like a bourbon thing. I like it. The label, the paper, and that thing around it, I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah.
It's cool though, and I like the paper, like the font. I like that the paper looks like it's kind of supposed to be. I want to say like aged. Like when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, the Goonies map." It's not like that aged.
Right. Yeah, I got you.
Like I felt like something like that. So overall, it's one of my personal favorites that we've come across. Although I want to ask you guys, does it have the shelf difficulty with the height? Can you put it in a shelf, or is the big bottle too high?
That's a Taylor thing.
Yeah. See, no, this one is actually perfect. See, because the Eagle Rare comes in, because that's the one I'm going to base it off of. Ever since I had to lay that thing down, I'm just really not a huge fan. Just kidding. But no, this one's the perfect fit. And yeah, I can't disagree with anything you said there, PJ. I think it's really cool. I like the little copper band around it with the Basil Hayden. Again, it's like the same thing with the Suntory. Just making the packaging look like it costs more than it actually does is kind of cool for me. So when you can get like a $30 to $40 bottle of whiskey that looks like a $50 to $60 bottle of whiskey, I can get on board for that. That's cool. I think Basil Hayden does that pretty well.
Yeah, I can agree with all of that. I like the way it looks too, the little belt like you guys are talking about with the Basil Hayden on it. The paper's cool. It reminds me of when I saw it and touched it the first time, I got a copy of the Constitution from my 8th grade trip, and it reminds me of what that was written on.
Well, it's kind of cool because, it has the George, it started to be distilled back in the 1700s, which I always love that kind of stuff, right? That's always cool. I think it all fits. Yeah, everything sort of goes together. The look of the bottle, the distilling process is all kind of fun.
It's very cool.
And Mike, I take mine back. The Constitution thing is more accurate for the paper over the Goonies thing.
Right?
Answer to yours. That's perfect. That's true.
What it reminds me of, yeah. And then
we're talking about too. That's spot on.
Obviously, the one thing that obviously is going to help us both out is the cork. Or all of us out is the cork.
Always helps. Cork
always helps. Cork sets it off. So at least they gave us something there.
The top. The actual top. Hold it. See, mine's different on the little guy. Mine is. See, that's mine.
All right.
It's a little different. It's black.
Yeah.
Is it a plastic? The top is yours plastic?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't care for that. I don't know why. I mean, not that they were probably all plastic, but mine felt plasticky. Like, I don't know.
I like that. At first, I'll be honest with you guys. When I got the bottle in the house, I was going to say that I might not really like this one that much because I thought that they just it seems like they cheaped out on the bottle itself and then, gussied it up with the stuff on the side. But now that I'm looking at it and I like it a lot more as I'm talking about it and getting into it.
Yeah, see, I was going to say the only reason I disagree with you is because I like what PJ said about it, where when I see it, the bottle does kind of scream whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree where it does kind of look a little lazy.
Like something that we would all do. Like we would make whiskey and then put it in this bottle.
That's fair.
Right. Friend.
But also, for some reason, it just everything kind of works with it.
It does.
I don't know.
No, you're right. It looks more. I think it looks more like it's something that we would do. All right, Taylor, I'm gonna throw it to you. Let's review some Basil Hayden.
Sure. So initially, I thought, given the name brand and everything else, just knowing how popular it was, I thought that I wasn't going to be a huge fan of this bourbon. I kind of went in thinking I'm going to sit right around a 3-star at the highest. However, I think since tasting it, it definitely over-delivered for me. It definitely doesn't hit that 5-star for me yet, but we're certainly getting closer, especially for that $30 to $40 range. I think I'm going to give it an easy soft 4. Not blown away by it, but I think it deserves the respect. I think to touch on what you said, Mike, all I want to do is have some sort of sweeter food with it. I just want to explore more with this bourbon. It's going to be something that I definitely pick up in the future. And for my first tasting of it, there's really not too much that I can complain about with this bourbon. So a soft 4, I think, is fair.
Excellent. I'm going to take it next. I'm going to piggyback right off of you. I'm going to agree. I'm going to give it a soft 4. I haven't had this in a really long time, and I'm glad that I got to try it again. My bourbon collection is definitely growing because of what we're doing right now. This is going to be in the house for sure. This may take the place of my everyday if I can possibly, because it is super tasty, easy to drink. Food for sure. If I could have it with food, I would do that. This is just kind of a universal bourbon for me. I can do it whenever. I can do it after work. I can do it with dinner. I can do it at 11 o'clock in the morning. I can do it whenever I want to do it, and it's going to satisfy. To use your words, man, it over delivers for sure. PJ, the body of it, like you said, there's something going on that lets you know that you're having a good bourbon, but then the finish doesn't burn too much, but it stays with you, so you know you had something to drink. It's just all in all a really good expression of a bourbon for me. So soft 4 for me as well.
I am right there, but not quite. I'm going to give it a hard 3. Okay. I can't push it into the 4. It's really close. It is. It's really good. But it's just not there. It's not to go back to the one we had. It's not Noble Oak. I can't put it as a 4 there. I just can't. But overall, I loved it. I was surprised. I didn't really know what to expect, but I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it is. So, yeah, it's smooth. It's tasty. Strong 3.
I definitely agree with you though, PJ, because I was right there. I was right on the fence of a strong 3, soft 4. It was right there for me. I just think the fact that I went in with lower expectations, and then when I tasted it, I was like, wow, this is really good. Is what got me to that soft 4. It really just pushed it to the next level up, I think. But I can't disagree with you. I think it's right there. It's right on the cusp. Yeah, there's too many good things going on for me to give it the hard 3, which is why I pushed it to the soft 4.
All right, time for initial thoughts on Interstellar. My initial thought on this movie is, Jesus, this is the most mentally exhausted I have ever been watching a movie. This thing had me from start to finish, couldn't look away, just drained of any thought process, all emotion. It just took everything out of me. It was gorgeous. The acting I thought was fantastic. The story to me left a little to be desired, but just it was mentally draining for me. Taylor, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll go off of that. Initially, I disagree with the story left a little bit to be desired. I thought it kind of hit on all fronts from start to finish. Totally agree. It was mentally exhausting. It's not an easy sit down watch. It's not Karate Kid. That's for
No.
sure.
No, this is 3 hours.
Definitely not Karate Kid. Yeah, it's not it's not a weekend kind of, like, oh, let's just throw on Interstellar. It doesn't have that sort of vibe to it. You have to be ready to commit time to this movie. Because I think there's always going to be something that you're going to pick up that you couldn't have picked up the previous time you watched it. There's just so much there. But initial thoughts, yeah, I thought the story was cohesive. It all came together, and I just thought it was so unique, so different, sort of merged so many different things of science fiction into one, that it and then the cast and everything else. Initially, I'm on board. I'm totally on board.
BJ?
I liked it a lot. Is my initial thoughts. First time seeing it, there's a lot going on. So I pretty much, as a first view, just kind of let it go. I wasn't trying to catch stuff. I wasn't trying to, because I just knew there'd be too much to try to just like comprehend. I'd be watching it for like 6 hours. So I just watched it, took a couple scenes back just to like make sure I was okay, like on top of things. I liked it. I was not blown away by it, which I was surprised. I might be mostly my fault for only seeing it once. I feel like this is a multiple watch movie. To like you said, Taylor, you said like a lot to catch. Multi-watch movie, so I only saw it once. Didn't blow me away. Mostly my fault. A little Nolan's. I just step your game up, all right? Only kidding.
Figure out what you're doing, buddy.
It's very good. Wasn't like overwhelmed. Thought it was the greatest thing ever. Enjoyed it. It's my initial thoughts.
Okay. Taylor, for you, this had to be a mess for your mind as far as time travel is concerned, huh?
Must have been. Yeah, I have notes. Again, like, I kind of touched on it in my initial spiel there. Again, it kind of goes with seeing it multiple times, but like there's just so many things to try and digest in so short a time. I know it's a 3-hour movie, but things kind of happen so quickly. There's a lot going on. Which is why I said I watched it twice. I kind of lied. I watched it once all the way through, and then I watched that last hour the second time, because that last hour is just such like, what the hell's going on? I have no idea. I had so many questions, like on my notes. I just have question mark after question mark, because I don't understand how anything happens in this movie.
I watched it. Like I said before we started, I watched it 3 times, and every time that I watched it, I liked it a little bit more. The problem is that I had to watch it 3 times. That's 9 hours. Like, it's a lot. Not that it seems very intense, like from start to finish. Like, it's just, here we go. Strap on, we're going. And then the ending was kind of like, okay. I was like, all right. That's it. And it just feels like after giving that much time and focusing that much I expected more. What that was, I don't know, but it just didn't like.
See, now I've heard both of you now say this, Mike, a little bit more on your end of being with the, something left to be desired. I don't know where you're getting that from. I feel like everything comes full circle. I think that the ending is very exciting. I think that the score of the movie, I love the music to the movie. I think as soon as you hear the music start up, like I'm locked in.
Can't agree more. Yeah, Hans Zimmer, amazing. That guy, I mean, his whole score crushed it. It was awesome.
Yeah, because every time the music started, I was instantly drawn back in. Like if I was starting to fade and being like, kind of just like fill in story, and then the music would start. I was just instantly sucked back in. And we can get to it later, but I definitely want to talk about it since it seems like you guys are going the opposite direction that I am. I just thought that whole end scene from the time that or Matt Damon's character had his incident, from that time on, I was just so locked in for that last hour of the movie that I don't understand how there's anything left to be desired, to be honest with you guys.
Here's the problem with this movie. I loved it. Like I loved it from start to, I think McConaughey was awesome. I can see Michael Caine in anything, so I'm happy about that.
Have that in my notes.
And John Lithgow shows up, so great. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. Anne Hathaway, Casey Affleck. Like the cast was amazing. The acting was fantastic.
Grace?
Yeah,
see, I had Topher Grace as being my random. I see Topher Grace each time. I'm just like, all right. Here he is again to have a very disappointing role.
It wasn't bad. It was good.
Whatever, man. He got punched in the face. He looks soft. He has to pull out the tire iron when Casey Affleck comes back.
First of all, anytime you're in a field of corn and a truck is riding up on you, you better have a tire iron. That's number one.
That's all right. I'll give it to you.
It was a good role. Jeez.
But like
giving no love to Topher Grace. Jeez, whatever.
The visuals of the movie, amazing.
Yeah, I got that.
Like,
visuals were stunning.
You couldn't even tell. Like, I mean, the CGI looks seamless. It was just really, really well done. Obviously, the direction was amazing. I mean, it's Chris Nolan. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, like everything about it was great. I like the movie to watch visually, watching the acting. There's just something that wasn't there. Something that was missing. I don't know.
I won't continue to fight you guys on the what's missing because we can get into a deeper debate on it later. Just a couple of things to go off of what you just said, Mike. I loved, like you said, the visuals. I also really loved the space scenes when they get the shots from outside of the ship and it's just dead silence. Really cool. Definitely made a note of that. There's a couple of scenes, like the fight scene between Matt Damon and Matthew McConaughey, where they get the wide shot of it and it's just silent and you can't hear anything. I just like the way all those were shot.
That wave that Anne Hathaway had to get away from.
Ridiculous.
That scene was nuts.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys know they were waves at first? I felt that they were waves in the background. When they first land and they look off in the distance and they look like mountains, I was like, those look weird. I didn't
notice that at all.
I didn't notice that either, yeah.
There's an early shot, like when they land and they get out, they actually show the horizon, and it just looks like a very level like mountain. I'm like, what the hell is that?
What a terrifying planet, by the way.
Right?
And to that point, how do they not know that she had only been there for a few minutes, even though they knew that by going to that planet, time was going to slow ridiculously? And then all of a sudden, Academy gets down there and she's like, oh, right, she's only been here for like 8 minutes.
I think Brand knew. I think that she understood the time difference. I think that she was at that point explaining it to him. I know she was saying it in like a surprising fashion, as if like she would probably just died minutes ago, and then she got upset. I'm sure she realized that. But Matthew McConaughey, I think he tapped out at those timed conversations. I'm pretty sure he was like, I just want to get down there and get back so I can see my daughter. He was like me when somebody talks too long. I'm like, I'm not listening anymore. I'm done. Yeah, you lost me at wormhole with a paper and a pen, and then there was a circle. Where are we? What are you talking about?
That brings me back to
why did you unfold the paper? What is happening? I don't understand what's going on.
So sorry, just to mention my first note, because I feel like Mikey just touched upon what I was going for, and maybe not. This could be me, and I love Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
But also, when he starts doing all the science vernacular, I just don't buy it. I'm just like, I don't know. I want to believe it, as I really do, but he just starts spewing it off. I'm just like, this isn't your role. It eventually comes together, and I get it. It is his role. But in the beginning, where he's doing all like the space talk, I'm just like, nah, this is like me talking about space. It's exactly how I felt Matthew McConaughey was talking about. I was like, he doesn't know what's going on.
Do you guys know by chance what year this was supposed to be? Any clue?
20. This is only. So I will go back to because I'm going to try to be fair with everything. I totally blasted Extraction for not giving us a time frame, and this movie did the same thing. So Wikipedia told me it's supposed to be 2067.
Okay.
Which awesome. You can assume it's the future, I think, just based on technology. But again, pinpointing a year is tough. But it said it's supposed to be 2067.
The only reason I assumed it was the future, obviously, right? I knew that. So this is why my question is what it is. Did they do the future justice? Like, was TARS the robot of the future? And is McConaughey still wearing wired headphones in the spaceship?
I didn't notice the wired headphones.
Do I still have Samsung earbuds wired in 2067? Is that a thing? If it is, I don't want in.
Probably not, but I think TARS does it justice.
Yeah? You think so?
I think that level of artificial intelligence, I think, yes, it does.
All right.
I like TARS. I thought it was really good. I don't know if this is where you're going with this, Mike, but I felt the physical TARS, like what he was. I felt like in the future it would have been cooler if it was cooler looking, like a real robot. But I like how they use TARS. Like,
yes,
the functionality of them is super cool, like throughout the movie. So I like TARS overall. I think it's basically a human, a learning computer inside a rectangle. So it was cool. Yep. It was funny.
The AI was cool. The utilization was cool, but so 2047. Not really 2067.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry, but also
I will say, by the way, the wireless thing. Look, man, they're going hundreds of thousands of miles away. You need a battery pack. You're not doing everything wireless. I'm fine with the plugged-in headset.
And I will say, the 80s.
I just don't believe Apple came out with a phone that didn't even have a plug for a headset. In 2067, they're going to have phones with headsets?
You know what they did? They said, hey, Apple, mistake. We're going back. Future said, no, we want stuff.
What I think is probably the money scene when McConaughey is... So Damon's trying to take over the ship. He gets blown out. Mm-hmm. And then they have to do that 360 move to actually lock in.
Very cool.
That shot right there. The only thing I wrote down was, I'm happy Rome is dead. Because if he was sick from the initial...
Right, yeah.
That would have killed him anyway.
Yeah, no way.
That scene was amazing, by the way.
So good. Very cool.
One of my favorites. That's
what just started the whole ending for me.
Yeah. Yep. Visual of it was cool, but then also to think of the G-forces and to actually have to I would have been passed out halfway.
Absolutely.
In a sec.
That's why he says it, right? That's why he says it. If I pass out, Case, take the wheel.
Exactly. Yeah, and I kind of expected him to. The fact it didn't was cool. I don't know if it's physically possible given the G's they were probably pulling with that, which is nuts. It's also in space, which is hilarious. Yeah. Anything like that, I'm just well, we're also in space. Added. It's always the weirdest thing. Be if this goes wrong, there's nothing.
But when they first go into the wormhole, and Anne Hathaway's reaching out, and then obviously there's like the blurry sort of blob, and she reaches out and touches it, and ends up being Matthew McConaughey's character in the black hole. That scene, once it's revealed, so good. Yeah. So good. Also, with the wormhole, I guess in their case, astronauts had already been there before, but imagine like the first astronauts actually going through a wormhole, like you're just essentially waiting for just lights out. Right? I mean,
Sure.
I mean, you're just going through this mysterious little thing, and honestly, the next thing is just done.
Yeah,
which is terrifying. Which is why I watched that scene, and obviously we're an hour into a 3-hour movie. They're gonna make it through, but like the whole time, like I just keep on thinking like, this thing's gonna disintegrate because that's what it should do.
I have another example of that, which caught me more than the wormhole thing. Although the wormhole thing, the balls to go into one of those.
Right, exactly.
Huge balls. Huge balls.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to do it, but like I would have to be woken up like right before. like it would be one of these like interview, be like, hey, you want to go through a wormhole? I'd be like, yes, but knock me out right now. Like you got to I'll sign anything, but just wake me up right before because I'm going to flip-flop from now on. So I want to do it, but I'm never going to get there. So, just figure it out. The worst than going in the wormhole for me was when we finally meet Matt Damon. Mm-hmm. And he explains his life. Like, he lands on the planet. And this is before we know he's lying. He does all these things. His rations are running low. And he puts himself in hibernation. I'll get into the hibernation thing soon. And how crazy must that be? You're on a totally alien planet. You've done everything you can. Your resources are gone. You have no choice but to put yourself into hibernation. How crazy is that to know that like this could be the last time, like knowingly going to sleep for possibly the last time ever?
Yeah, I totally agree. It gives me the willies because like each scene that they do it, like even when they're in the actual space station and they're all still there, I still don't think I would want to do it. Just like what if there was an accident, what if there was an explosion or something, and that's just it, like you're done. You go from literally lights out to more lights out. It makes it really creepy, and I that's just the whole feel I get from it. And the way they do it I don't like either.
Okay, that was I can take
like the water and then like the plastic seal over. I mean, like, does that not scream body bag?
Yeah, no.
But also a moist body bag? That sounds even worse somehow.
Awful. I like Alien. I like Aliens. I like their idea of hibernation sleep. You just go in a pod and they, you drift off. Like, no.
Yeah.
Water, body bag. When I saw it, I was like, I was like, no way.
I would panic immediately.
Oh, immediately. Oh, yeah.
It's one of my biggest fears is drowning, too. I couldn't deal with that at all.
Yeah, no. Imagine drowning in space.
You're buried alive, drowning in space.
When you get back from from their first stint on the first planet, and you start to play back his son's videos, and it's Casey Affleck, instantly I'm just like, boom, Casey Affleck is awesome.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I think I was at least equally shocked, if not more shocked, seeing him than I was when I saw Damon, because I had no idea Damon was in the movie. And I haven't seen, and I somehow managed to do this. Like, movies I don't see, I don't hear anything about. Like, I had no idea. I mean, the movie's been out for a while now. No idea Damon was in the movie. No clue.
That's
and no
impressive.
clue Affleck. So when I saw both of them, I was shocked. And seeing Affleck was nice. An unexpected, like, oh, that's cool.
How would you feel being Casey Affleck and in his character and knowing that your dad cares nothing about you but everything about your sister?
Yeah,
like, there was nothing at the end. Like, he wasn't even in the hospital room. Like, there was. Yeah. Oh, but he was dead, obviously, because it was like 175 years later. But
yeah.
Well, no, but see, no, I found real quick, I didn't like that because he's not much older than his sister, in theory.
Right.
But they don't even mention, like, I don't like that they don't mention him. They not even say, like,
I
they don't even know, like, they don't even say if he died or not, right?
Nope.
Like, they don't mention him at all.
They give him nothing. His
Nothing.
That
family.
was definitely a hole in the.
I didn't
in the,
care
in the
for it.
plot.
It would have been nice if they could have fit in a conversation real quick between daughter, father, about son.
Yeah.
And it didn't have to be that dramatic. Like, it could have been a voiceover, but, like, they don't mention him at all. And his character is also left way up in the air because she comes down from figuring it out, hugs him, and that's the last time you see him.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think he should have popped her in the chops, honestly.
I thought-
There's like a lot of times where I thought he was going to. It really seems like, I'm like, is she really going to hug him right now? That doesn't seem like the smart thing to do.
I was shocked by the hug, too. I was like, what's going on?
He didn't look like he was happy about it. He
No,
didn't care about it.
that's
He's
the
like,
thing.
fuck this.
The
No.
way they leave his character, for me, is a big...
So then the whole point of the story, then, if we're breaking it down to its, most minute detail, is it's not about love. It's about a father and daughter love.
daughter. I mean, if you really want to break... Yeah, I would say
See,
yeah.
and I just see.
Or at least...
Because it was about love. Taylor, obviously, he loved his son. He was the last person he saw.
loved
hugged
his
him before
family.
that.
He loved
Maybe
his
it's
family.
the biggest connection. Your most powerful connection of love, if you will, brings you where you need to be. So, like, obviously, the father-daughter connection was the supreme connection that brought him back, did this, time,
Right.
this and that. Just like the extreme connection between Brand and Edmonds.
Edmonds, yeah.
Mhm.
That extreme connection of, like, loving someone to that level is also the solution. So,
See, so I guess that's kind of where I back off of the love needed to be there between the father and daughter, because by the time McConaughey got back to Earth, he only saw Murph for a short amount of time. At least you could play it out. I mean, even if they saw each other for a few hours, I mean, he missed a lifetime. So, I mean...
no, see, but he didn't. He was there for the lifetime.
But he
was
wasn't
always in the
there for... Yes, but that's far... I mean, come on. That's far off
Just
from
don't
being
understand
actually
time
there.
travel.
You're right.
You miss graduations, you miss stuff.
Sure.
I mean, there's important stuff you miss. So him being there, but then the first time they see each other, she tells him to go and rescue Dr. Brand. Right? Like, that's what she told him to do, and he goes and does it because, I mean, you would presumably on her deathbed.
No, that's clear because she tells him that. I mean,
Right.
She's
So
to leave.
it does kind of get a little cloudy with the whole, like, love between the father and daughter there, because he wasn't there for...
See, I disagree. I still think it goes to the extreme connection because his extreme connection will transfer from the daughter to Brand, which they did kind of build up. Like,
They did. You're
that
right.
connection. It's never seen physically. Like, they don't kiss or whatever.
Right.
But it's also shown like, you see it, you understand that they're like...
It's definitely shown at the ending where he's about to bail and she has the breakdown where
Of course,
she
yeah.
realizes he's about to
Yeah.
bail. Which is also one of the tougher scenes to get through. That one was
I have that.
That one was probably my tougher scene to get through.
Quick fun fact. Tars was not all CGI. Most of it was an actual, like, puppet type thing. It was a practical effect most of the time.
I didn't say
Yeah, like
that.
that.
Who thinks Tars, when you first see it, is an actual, like, physical prop?
Right.
I didn't.
Yeah.
But
No,
apparently
definitely
most
not.
of it was an actual, like, puppeteer doing stuff.
Huh. Your review on Interstellar. What do you got, PJ?
All right. Interstellar review is, dear Lord, this hit me kind of hard. I still got a lot left. Yeesh. Okay. 3. It is a solid 3. It's not a soft, hard, medium, whatever. It's a 3. It's good. Cast is good. Not great. Wasn't totally blown away by all the supporting characters. I liked it, though. They were good. Story is fine. Interesting. Thought-provoking. Ending is acceptable. To my initial thoughts, I felt like it was supposed to blow me away. It didn't. Therefore, it's a 3.
Like it. Taylor, I'm going to go, if you don't mind. I'm going to
Go for it.
go ahead and I'm going to give it a solid 3 as well. All your arguments, Taylor, have been very good, and I agree with most. I like, as I said, the characters, the acting I thought was very good. The visuals were obviously stunning. The direction is obviously amazing. I think maybe what I'm doing is, since we're doing this movie, 6 years removed, knowing what I know about Nolan now and his movies that have come out, and I've watched almost all of them, this may not be in the same league as some of the ones that I've watched, so I'm maybe rating it on that, but I'm going to give it a solid 3. The ending for me wasn't the greatest. There was something about the story, again, that was missing. I wish I could put my finger on it and give it a name. I don't know what it is, but it just didn't feel like the epic that I thought it was going to be when I turned it on.
Cool. So I will go ahead and I will say, gonna go right with Basil Hayden's soft 4 from me. I think this movie's worthy of a soft 4. I think it was epic enough to be right there. I mean, we're talking the cast, the story, everything else that goes into it. I feel like I've just mentioned everything that I've thought about this movie. I can't find a whole lot wrong with it. I can't. I think the story's right there. I think the humor's right there. And yeah, man. I mean, there's space-time, there's time travel, there's a little bit of everything to the science fiction feel of the whole movie. And no, it may not be a movie that I go right back to, but I also don't think it was meant to be the movie that you go right back to. It's not supposed to be a simple watch, and it's definitely not a one watch, and sort of get a feel for it. There's so much to break down. There's so much there. Yeah, easy soft 4 for me. I'm locked in every time I watch it. For a 3-hour movie, I think it plays easily, and for a Christopher Nolan movie, totally locked in. So no complaints from me. Soft 4.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. We hope you enjoyed our review of Interstellar and Basil Hayden. Please join us next time when we discuss Game Night while drinking some Bullet Rye. Until then, cheers.